The next three videos are all going to be about phylum Mollusca. LO7 is focusing on gastropods, snails, slugs, etc. The next video, LO8, will be about bivalves like clams and oysters, and then LO9 is about cephalopods. That would be squids, octopus, etc. So all three of these videos are mollusks, but I'm going to break them into their classes so the videos are a little bit shorter. General information about all mollusks. So for the next three videos, this information applies to all three. All of these guys are soft-bodied. They have a shell that's either inside or outside. And they have four different parts. Now in the different types of mollusks, they might be modified and look a little bit different, but the four general parts would be foot, mantle, shell, and visceral mass. First we have the mantle. And the mantle protects the internal organs, and the internal organs are collectively called the visceral mass. So that will be your next definition. The mantle here, it's the blue layer in the picture at the bottom, secretes the shell. Here we have the visceral mass. The visceral mass is the main part of the mollusk that has heart, organs that for digestion, excretion, reproduction. So again, that's the main part of the organism. The mantle is around that. Third, we have the mantle cavity. The mantle cavity is a space, as you can see in the picture, between the mantle and the visceral mass. That would be this area. A cavity is a space, basically. Our three main groups of mollusks: gastropods. Gastro means stomach, poda means foot, so these are belly foot organisms. Bivalvia, bi meaning two, valve talks about a shell. And then cephalopoda means head foot, because these have really intricate brains and eyes, and they're actually very, very smart creatures. This video, like I said, focuses on gastropods. We'll look at the other classes in the next two videos. So, gastropods, body plan, bilateral. Most of these have one shell externally outside their body. Something that's weird about them is that they undergo torsion as they develop. So if you look at the picture at the bottom left, their body system, when they start, mouth and anus are in a line. Torsion means that as they develop, the visceral mass, which has their organs, gets twisted 180 degrees. And as you can see through the pictures, it brings the anus right over the head, which is kind of disgusting, but that's what happens. It ends up in this mantle cavity area as the gastropod develops. How they breathe. They have gills. Not gills like you'd see on a fish. It doesn't look exactly the same, but they do have a gill structure for breathing. And the gill needs to have moisture, otherwise the gases cannot diffuse in and out. So that's why a lot of these guys like moisture. You'll find slugs out after it rains, so makes sense. Circulatory system is open. This means they have a heart, or a heart-like structure, and they have fluid in vessels that just goes into their tissues and then comes back. In our bodies, we have a closed circulatory system. The blood never leaves our veins unless you're cut. So it goes from the heart through the circulatory system back to the heart. In an open system, the heart pumps, they don't have blood, they have hemolymph into the tissues. And that's it. It's not a closed system. Response, they have nerve cells. Some have eyes. They can't really see things clearly. It's more for sensing light and darkness. For feeding, many of these guys have a radula. If you look in the top picture here and the cartoon one at the bottom, it looks kind of like a saw. It's like a tongue that has these tough, abrasive teeth that allow them, if they live on land, that's what terrestrial means, to cut through leaves. And some aquatic snails will use it to scrape algae off, or actually drill into other organisms and then eat the organism. How they excrete. They have an anus that gets rid of wastes, and again you saw because of torsion, it's right above their noggin in your snails, basically. The movement is very slow, and they use a little foot that helps pull them forwards. Body support, All of our gastropods are coelomates. They have a true body cavity or a coelom, and so coelomate describes the organism. Reproduction is mainly separate, however you do have some hermaphrodites. And if you have aquatic species, they have larvae, and one type of larva you can see in the picture here is called a trochopore. Examples. You don't need to write the extra information, but I would write down that examples are snails, slugs, so that's top picture here, snail, slug. Nudibranchs are really, really cool. They're marine, they're very, very colorful. Abalones and conchs. Conch shells are probably one thing that you do recognize. Now that you've seen this video, you should be able to describe their body plan, explain the life functions, and then as you see the other two videos about mollusks, you'll be able to compare the three groups to each other. So next, please take the quiz and then complete the column on your chart. You don't need to get it checked off yet. That will be at the end of all three mollusk groups, but you should get it done as it's fresh in your mind now, and it will help you keep everything on track.